Hello and welcome to Heavy Metal WRX. My name is Wace, and today, as you can see, we're up here at Ecotech. Finally, the day has come where I get my custom Jpipe made. I'm really excited because I felt like the car has been a little on the quiet side, and we're going to be doing another retune with Graham over at Boosted Performance. But first, I want to tell you guys this video is sponsored by Ecotech, which is my local Subaru shop, and it can be your local Subaru shop as well. If you're in the St. Louis area or the surrounding area, we have tons of people that come out to Ecotech just to get either just performance modifications done or engine rebuilds or even STI swaps or any kind of transmission swap you're thinking about doing. Definitely check out Ecotech here in St. Louis. Also, this is sponsored by Graham over at Boosted Performance Tuning, who is basically, he is now my main man tuner. He's going to be putting on some more stuff today. We're going to be doing a couple of revisions once the Jpipe is on, and I'm going to ask him for some spicy race tunes so we can have some stuff to take out to the track and as the drag strips open up and stuff like that. Anyway, let's go take a look at some of these really fancy cars in this area, and let's get ready. So I'm actually taking a look at this. I finally got a chance to check out the turbo inlet. It's actually this piece right here. This is a lot smaller than what parents sent me. I don't really know how this is going to work unless they have intentions of making their own air intake, which I know that Jeff said that they are working on that. But there's no way that this small piece can be replaced by the large turbo inlet I have. Now we can try to do the bypass valve. I don't know again if that's going to work because this is electronic. So I'm going to refer to my wonderful engineers here at Ecotech to give me the information on if that's something that we should do. We may actually not even do it. So, and I'm not upset about that. That's okay. So here's a conversation that I actually had with my technicians. We were actually talking about this inlet, and it is pretty big. So I'm wondering if Perrin has. I'm pretty sure Perrin is going to be coming out with an air intake for this that'll probably fit onto this, and when that happens, we can replace all the parts to fit on this. So basically what we were talking about was how on the stock turbo inlet, there's actually a section down below right here where coolant runs through and does kind of keep that area warm. So if for some reason we end up making a lot more power, it does make sense to actually switch over to this. But right now I'm going to hold off on this and the bypass valve until that new intake comes out. And I know that they're supposed to be possibly sending me a front mount as well. So maybe all those things can happen at the same time.
With an agenda of mass murder, referendum. Forgive of aggression, starting with his pumping prejudice.
So we're getting close to the end of this. The pipe is on, and something I do want to show you. This is really funny. So this Jpipe is actually from a 21 WRX or an FA style WRX, and it's funny because if you remember my older video when we were over at Cody's shop at Fisher Performance, this is a 21 catback that we had to cut and rotate, and now what's funny is the bit that we cut out we had to actually put back in, and the whole reason we rotated that flange was because the front was rotated for the 22, and somehow we've come full circle. So this actually goes back into planning your builds, because if I knew that I was going to do this, I would have never cut the back. I would have actually just left it in the garage and installed it after I got this Jpipe Jpipe made. But this is just kind of the things that you find out. Alright guys, so the exhaust work is all done. Everything is good to go. We're finally at Dyno Technologies. We got the car and we're going to get up on the dyno, and Graham's going to start working his magic. Adam is again here today to help us out. I'm hoping I actually did have a conversation with Graham this morning. I'm hoping that when we're on ethanol, we can make a bit more, but on 93, I want to try to make, hopefully, the same power I'm making on ethanol for the daily tune, so we can save a little bit on the gas mileage, because I think what happens is when I have that extra power, I use the car a little bit more. So let's get it strapped up. So the first revision of the tune is finally on there for the Jpipe. We're actually going to do our first pull here in a minute. I'm really excited. The car is very loud, especially in this confined area, and even outside. It's not as loud on the inside of the car, but I cannot wait to see what it sounds like when we actually rip it. It's going to be pretty incredible. Last time I actually didn't use the right microphones. This time I actually am going to set up my Rode mic a little bit closer so I can fully capture the sound. So protect your ears. All right, go! All right, so check this out. This is Graham's updated map. For 93, you can see that we made about 5 more horsepower, and we made about 20 more torques. 20! We made 20 more torques. 61 and 81. Why was I thinking? Because you know what? Because I was looking at the E40 map. Was 374. This is actually where we left off for the 93. It was 321 horsepower and 361 torques, and now we're at 5 horsepower and 20 torques. That's pretty crazy. And this is just the beginning. So for that run, what did we end up? A 325 horsepower and 389 torques. That's a lot of torques. And it keeps, you said it keeps making torque, is that right? Is this right here? Yeah, it keeps going up?
It's more mid-range and low end. Here we go. So yeah, you get a lot more area under the curve here.
Yeah, more in the mid.
More in the low end. Top end is about the same, it's fine, but 93 octane is pretty cool.
That's, yeah, 93, almost making 400 torque. Alright, so not really sure what happened. Car threw a check engine light, so we're going to send the logs over to Graham and see what did it happen. I mean, up until that point, it sounded good. But these are the kind of things you have to expect when you're doing modifications to cars. Thankfully, we have some really smart people on the job. Adam already pulled up what the code was. I'm going to send the log over to Graham, and we'll see what we need to do. Hey guys, it's Awais in Post. I thought that I had recorded the answer to what happened at that pull, but I looked around for that video and I couldn't find it anywhere. So basically, Graham had set the car to pull a certain amount of boost.
The ECU didn't like it, so it cut off the power. Nothing really major, just regular precautionary stuff from the ECU. I'll try to get more information from Graham to see if he can kind of explain in further detail what happened for those of you interested.
So check this out. This revision, 338, 396. That's crazy. This is still on 93. We haven't even switched over to ethanol, so you know that's just going to be 700 horsepower. So something that we were actually discussing was, it looks like things are getting a little hectic-ish up here. So probably what Graham is going to do is just bring this down just a little bit to make sure everything's good. But now you look at this is the difference. The red is the stock. And this is where we're at right now on 93. Like that's how much of a difference we are. We went from 268 to 230, 230-ish, that's still very impressive on just pump gas. So as expected, everything is going very smooth. We did have that one issue earlier. I think that was the third run where Graham tried to, I believe, if I remember correctly, up the boost a little bit, and there was some hesitation there, which is completely okay because as you saw the next pull, he was able to pull out some more power anyway. As a 93 tune, that is really impressive. You know, of course, we're almost 100 horsepower over with just an intake and a Jpipe. You know, that's a lot. And the torque is what's crazy. It is a monster amount of torque. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get the ethanol in and start doing the, I believe it's going to be E40 blend. So now we're going to start doing some ethanol testing. And this is, I think, where you're going to see some massive horsepower gains. I'm very excited. First revision on ethanol, 355, 394. That's, and it's just gonna go up. Where did we start? When we first did ethanol last time, we started at like 330, didn't we? Our first ethanol run.
That was our final ethanol run.
Yeah.
Last time. The first ethanol run was this guy.
Yeah.
So number 6. So that guy right there.
So 346. So yeah, this was our first ethanol. So 346 and 358. And our first ethanol run now with the Jpipe is 355, 394. But that's also coming up from where it was on the 93. So like, I think that also needs to be taken into account. So an update on everything that's been going on. Ethanol tuning is running great. We're just taking a quick break because we've pretty much been at it since 9 a.m. this morning. I did want to touch, I don't know if I actually said this in the video, but we ended up not putting the inlet and the bypass valve on. I did talk to Perrin. There's a couple of things that were a little different that need to be ironed out with my car, not with their parts. The parts are great. My car has got the issues, but we'll circle back to that at a later time when there's more stuff to talk about. As of right now, the car's running great. I mean, I cannot even stress to you guys how loud it is, especially inside because of how cavernous that area is. The sound just echoes and it is super loud. I look forward to hearing what it sounds like on the road at wide open throttle. But I do know when we were sitting inside it, when we drove from Ecotech over to the Dyno, it wasn't very loud. And this is exactly how I felt when I had the axle back. In my case, I put the cap back on. And it did take out, I believe in the mid-pipe that there is a resonator. So we took that out. And the MA Performance one does have a resonator, but it's considerably smaller. And of course, there's no mufflers. It didn't get that much louder than what I was expecting. Because if you're coming from a FA24, or sorry, if you're coming from a FA20 engine, they're loud, they're raspy, you know, not in the bad ways. I love them. I actually miss the sound, but there is a difference. It's not quite an STI rumble, but the FA24 is a much deeper tone. And now that we've got this stuff on here, you can hear a bit more of it. Yeah, I mean, it pops. It is audibly louder, but not in the way that it is a high loud. It's still a low loud, but it's just, I guess the bass just went up. So it's interesting, you know. And now I think, you know, when you downshift or you do low shifts, like it pops a lot more. So there's a lot more pops, obviously, because We took out a couple of things, but everything is still EPA compliant. No problem there. That's the nice thing about some of these parts that are coming out, which I think why catbacks or cats are becoming more expensive, because more performance people are buying them and they work, you know, they do the job. So anyway, we're going to get back to it. Just wanted to give you guys a quick mid-intermission update. Oh my god damn! 363 horsepower, 415 torques. God damn. That's, whoo, man. Alright guys, so this is what we're going to do. We're actually going to end the night today at 363 horsepower and 347 torque. That is a ridiculous amount of torque. Again, the only parts on this is a Burger Motorsport intake and a Jpipe we made. Like, it's literally a custom Jpipe. Like, there was no R&D. They didn't send it off to a company to test all this out. We literally took, I believe it was an invidia Jpipe from a VA WRX. Cut it up, put the stock flange on there from the stock Jpipe, and mated it, and then I had to add 4 inches of piping to fit the 2021 WRX catback that I had. So the fact that all of that combined is still making such a crazy amount of power is amazing. What I'll probably end up doing is, for the most part, I'll probably run the 93 tune, because the 93 tune is almost the same power as my E40 tune was prior to mapping today. E40, it was I think it was like 361 and 374. Excuse me, 374. So we picked up like almost an extra 50 torque on ethanol, which is ridiculous. We didn't pick up as much horsepower, but like I said, this is an iterative process. Graham is going to keep working on this. I'm going to keep working on this. You know, the little bit that I do. We're going to take a look at the Jpipe again, because there may be some issues with using the stock flange. There may be some back pressure. We are thinking that there might be some what he was calling basically exhaust back pressure. So there's still things that need to be looked at. So I don't want you to look at this power and, you know, be like, oh well, you know, so and so made this much, so and so made that much, and that's okay. That's not what's important. Every car does things differently. This still is making a lot more power. 93 map is incredible for what it did. The E41, we'll keep playing around, and maybe we have to bump it up to E50. Maybe we're running into a fueling issue. I do know for a fact that Graham did say that intercooler, we got to change it out. We got to get that intercooler in. So having a front mount is going to be a big difference. So next major part, I believe, it's going to be the front mount. We'll get the front mount in there. We've got the turbo inlet. We'll get that in there. We'll get a couple of more things in there. Maybe it might take a few more weeks. We'll have to do, you know, regrettably, we're just going to have to go out there and do some vehicular acceleration testing while we wait for these new parts, which I really don't think you guys are going to have a big problem with. So we're just letting the car chill out for a little bit, sending the logs to Graham, making sure everything looks okay. But other than that, we're going to pretty much pack it up. It's like 6 o'clock. As you can see, it is now dark outside. The beginning of the video, it was like 9 a.m. It's like 6 o'clock now. Everybody's tired. There's no reason to keep messing around with it. I'm very happy. I'm always going to be happy, because this car continuously surprises the hell out of me and everybody else that tunes on it and everybody that hears it. We'll do some audio clips in another video when it's like morning time and I can actually do it. We'll plug the 360 camera up there. I'll tape the exhaust. I'll tape the mic to the exhaust so you guys can hear. I'm telling you, for me, the goal today was to try to get the 93 tune as close to the E40 tune, and I'd say we nailed it. We nailed it. It's perfect. Now I can save some gas, and I can use my E40 tune on nights that I go racing. I don't have to run E40 all of the time. I know that Graham helped with the with getting more gas mileage, but that just means the 93 one will give me even more gas mileage. And you know, at the end of the day, these things are also important. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and please stick around. There's definitely more to come.